Guys, what's going on? I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. And today I want to talk quickly about this confession that I got in my email. There's a confession that was sent out from a woman who worked for the investment firm where Usain Bolt lost his entire life savings. You won't believe this. This lady confessed to stealing money from a whole lot of clients at the same place Usain worked. She did not mention Usain's name. And I don't know exactly why. However, she confessed to stealing so many people's money that a lot of people are thinking that she might be the one who took Usain Bolt's money too. So get comfortable, buckle up, seatbelt. We're going to get started on the Black Financial Channel right now. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. My name is Dr. Boyce Watkins. I am your friendly neighborhood finance professor. On the Black Financial Channel, we talk about Black wealth and Black economics every day, sometimes as much as 10 times a day. And the condition is that we are Black first. Black first means we put our community at the top of our priority list. Black first also means that we don't just love ourselves, but we also love our children and we love our future. And the way we show our love is by making sure our families are financially good. We buy our life insurance. We educate our kids on economics. We prepare for the future. So if you feel that way, if you agree, if that works for you, put a B1 in the chat. B1, that's our calling card. That means you're Black first. All right. So let me ask you all a yes or no question. How many of you have heard about what happened with Usain Bolt? Give me a yes in the chat. What's up to everybody on TikTok? My TikTok is Boyce Watkins. There's fake accounts out there, so be careful because there's a lot of fake scammy accounts where they'll hit you up and go to your inbox and try to, take your money. So be careful about that. But how many of you? Give me a yes or no. How many of you heard about Usain Bolt and losing his entire life savings? Give me a yes in the chat if you're okay. Miriam says yes. Jimmy says yes. Willie says yes. Okay. PD says yes. Okay. So a lot of people. It looks like a lot of you are up to speed. Okay. I see a couple no's. So let me just give you a quick overview. So basically, Usain Bolt had $12.8 million in the bank. 12.8 million US. This is a result of all his hard work, all of his endorsements. The man was making money hand over fist. He was the fastest man on earth, greatest sprinter I've ever seen in my life, maybe the greatest we'll see in another 50 years. And he had all this money in this brokerage firm. And this brokerage firm, and I'm going to look up the name of the firm in a second, but the brokerage firm was apparently something was wrong with the way they were monitoring the money. And next thing you know, his whole account was pretty much emptied out. He went from 12.7, it was 12.7 million, not 12.8, 12.7 million down to $12,000. And according to CNN, they said lawyers for Usain Bolt say that 12.7 million is missing. And with the Jamaican investment firm now under police and in government investigation, Jamaican law enforcement was alerted to alleged fraud at wealth management firm Stocks and Securities Limited, SSL, on January 11th, affecting accounts belonging to Bolt and others. Selvin Hay, Chief Technical Director of Jamaica's Financial Investigations Division, told CNN. Hay added that an investigation currently in its early stages is now being conducted, blah, 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 blah. Bolt's lawyer says that his account inexplicably dwindled from 12.7 million to 12,000. Bolt is now 36 years old, and he'd retired from track and field. His agent, Ricky Sims, confirmed to CNN that an investigation into the alleged fraudulent activity was underway. Let's see, the Jamaican Financial Services Commission. Give me a yes in the chat if you guys can hear me okay. I'm kind of switching screens. Let me know if you can hear me all right. Let's see, employee theft is a risk all businesses face. Okay, so here they said in a press conference, Everton McFarland, executive director at FSC, told reporters that the fraud was allegedly committed by a client relationship manager at SSL. To the knowledge of the FSC, this level of fraud has never happened before, said McFarland. Employee theft is a risk all businesses face and is a risk that businesses, for the most part, and in particular financial institutions, take very seriously. This despicable act of dishonesty by an employee at SSL and possibly with collaborators, we believe, cannot be taken as symptomatic of the risk of the entire industry. According to Reuters, SSL issued a statement on January 12th saying it had become aware of fraudulent activity by a former employee and referred the matter to law enforcement. CNN has contacted SSL for comment and did not receive a response. Bolt became a household name, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so we know the story of Usain Bolt. I'm not going to rehash too much of that. It is a terrible story. It's absolutely crazy, and it's a big nightmare for most of us. Now, I'm going to ask y'all a question. As you hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe. I know the notifications don't go out the way they're supposed to. Hit the notification notification bell anyway. But since the channel's kind of shadow banned, I guess they do that to black channels or something. I have no idea. Maybe I'm controversial, I guess. One way to maybe follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is the real Boyce Watkins. So what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start notifying on Instagram when I'm about to go live on YouTube. So if you follow me on the gram, I have about 400,000 people over there on the gram. Those notifications get out a little bit better. So if you follow me on the gram, then I will let you know when I'm going to go live on YouTube if you want to come in. So follow me at the real Boyce Watkins. I'll put it on the screen so you guys can see it. All right. So here, let me ask y'all a question. Have you ever heard that saying, money is the root of all evil? And I know you've heard it. How do you feel? Do you believe that that's true or not true? I'm going to make a point here. This is the financial lesson from Dr. Boyce today. How many of you all believe that money is the root of all evil? Give me a yes or no if you think it. You've probably heard it in the Bible or actually it's the love of money. Let's just say money. Money or the love of money is the root of all evil. How many of you believe that? Give me a yes or no. Okay, so let's see. LaDonna Hicks says yes. My name is Corey says it's absolutely true. Dad says it's true. Okay, I see a lot of yeses. Sonia says no. Mahalia says yes. Okay, I see some yeses and some nos. All right. So you got a couple levels, right? Money is the root of all evil, yes or no, right? The love of money is the root of all evil, yes or no. I don't know if I love money. I know that I like it. I don't know how many of y'all like money. How many of y'all at least like money and really maybe even love money? Feel free to share that. And the reason I bring that up is because I do believe that that money is the root of some evil. I don't believe money is at the root of all evil. I've seen other evil perform that had nothing to do with money, jealousy, greed, envy, whatever, right? Just revenge, toxic energy, just being crazy, and mental illness, right? So there are lots of things that could be the root of evil. Money is I talked to you guys earlier about this, how money literally affects your brain like a drug. Money, today in the Prime program, I was talking to students about the psychology of money. Money literally affects the same part of your brain as cocaine. Did you all know that? That literally money, the high you get, like if I told you there's $1 million in your bank account, the jubilation you would feel, that's dopamine going to your brain, similar to how cocaine works, right? So I could literally make everybody in this room high if I told you I've got another $1 million in your bank account, right? So basically money is a drug, and you think about it, drugs can cause evil. Drugs can, some of you have relatives that are hooked on drugs. Drugs will cause a mother, a drug like crack will make a mother abandon her baby. Other drugs have caused families to break up. So money can be the root of some evil, just like a drug. Well, here's the deal. Some people interpret that to mean that people who have money are more evil than people who don't have money. That having more money will make you more evil than being broke. I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. I actually think that it's the need for money, the lack of money, that might make you more evil. Let me give you an example. Let me throw something out here. Let's think of something evil like embezzlement. Let's just, because I'm going to read this. Jean-Ann Panton. Jean-Ann Panton is the lady that everyone's saying took Usain Bolt's money. So I'm going to read Jean-Ann Panton's confession, a little bit of it, dissect it for you, and kind of help you understand what might have happened here, and tell you how to prevent this kind of thing from happening. So Jean-Ann Panton, so let's think about an evil crime, embezzlement. That's what Jean-Ann Panton allegedly did. If embezzlement is evil, do you think that she embezzled money because she had plenty of money? Do you think that she had just a ton of money in her bank account and that's why she stole money? Or do you think that she stole money because she needed it? Do you think it was the lack of money that was the root of her evil? So they say the love of money is the root of all evil. I would say that the lack of money is the root of a lot of evil. Because I guarantee you that if you needed to, her father had cancer. Now, I'm not saying this excuses her behavior at all. It's a crime. She's going to go to jail, whatever. But her father had cancer. If you had a child or a parent that had cancer and you needed the money for their cancer treatments, would you at least, I'm not saying you would go steal money, but would you at least kind of think about it? Would it at least kind of cross your mind? If you knew you could kind of get away and commit a crime and maybe not get caught, like, do you think that maybe you might think about it? I know I would. I know that if somebody I love is about to die, shoot, you better watch it, buddy. I'll go gangster for my children. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not the only one in here who thinks that way. I'm sorry. I would take those penitentiary chances for my kids, for my loved ones, right? So really, when you think about money being the root of some evil, it's not money. It's not the presence of money that necessarily causes the evil. It can be a financial deficiency. that is the root of the evil. It could be the lack of money that is the root of the evil, not just the love of the money. But think about it: if you have a love of money and a lack of money, then that's a double whammy. You love it and you lack it. Imagine this. Imagine being addicted to something that you don't have, needing something that you don't control. And so think about this. This really reflects the state of Black people really around America and the world. We don't necessarily understand money, and but we love money. We have a materialistic society. Every rapper is worshiping money and telling you how much money they have, and so you love it. People get money over everything tattooed on their bodies and stuff. But then there's a lack of it. So you love something that you lack, and then you wonder why we end up in slavery. We end up in slavery because we fall in love with something we don't have. That's a formula. That's a recipe for doing anything that's unethical or even illegal in order to get what you need. Give me a guess if you follow what I'm saying. Give me a guess if you're following this. So let me show you all. I'm gonna pull up her picture, and I want you all to kind of look at this picture. And do me a favor while I do that. Please hit the thumbs up button. Thumbs up, share, subscribe. Just a reminder, my new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. You can get a copy on Amazon. It's getting 5-star reviews from everybody. I'm going to do a world tour with this book. And it's a book I want everybody to read because I know it's going to change your life. So feel free to go to boycewatkins.com if you'd like to get a copy, or you can just go straight to Amazon, whatever is easier for you. So here she is, right? So this is Jean-Ann Panton and Panton, I think that's her name. And she's got this business card up, and she looks pretty professional, right? Like now, if you're on TikTok, you can't see it, but just imagine a professional, beautiful-looking Black woman who looks like, she says, "My clients trust me. I earned it." Right? So she looks trustworthy. What do y'all think? I think she looks like she's got some education. She looks like she's worked hard for her position. She looks like, so I mean, I feel like she knew what she was doing. I don't know, what do y'all think? So she looks pretty solid, right? So well, Jean-Ann Panton is a woman who also made a massive confession. And somebody sent me a copy of the confession, and it kind of blew my mind. And on this confession, she basically wrote out in detail who she was stealing money from at this firm. This firm is called Stocks and Securities Limited. And she said she's been employed for 25 years. So this is not a new employee. She's an OG. She's a veteran. She's been there a couple of decades. And she says that she's been there 25 years. She started in 1997. She was a client relationship manager, so she was good at building relationships with clients, and she was responsible for dealing with any client issues, and she acted as a wealth advisor. So she dealt with the clients, any issues they had. She gave them advice on wealth. She said, I work in the brokerage arm of the company. In this capacity, I interact with clients, manage their portfolios, and assist them with deposits and withdrawals and provide statements. In or around 2010, so she's 13 years into the job, my father was diagnosed with cancer, and I was primarily responsible for my parents' care and finances. He had to go overseas for treatment, and he was not employed at the time. It was at this point I thought of borrowing from clients' accounts to cover my father's expenses. So this is where she's fessing up. She's confessing so that she gets a lighter prison sentence. But she basically says that the reason that she started jacking the company and embezzling money is because her father got sick, and so her lack of money was the root of her evil. I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know this lady. I wouldn't be surprised if she never did anything like that until her father. Now, has anybody had a parent get sick with cancer? I'm gonna grab some water while y'all give me a yes or no. Has anybody ever had a parent or a grandparent die from cancer? I want to see all the yeses because everybody's getting cancer. Cancer is worse than COVID right now in terms of how it's spreading. They need to fix that instead of vaccines and all that. Give me a little second, guys. Since we're talking tonight, I decided to get up and get some water. Anybody ever dealt with cancer up close? I hate cancer. I hate it. Grandma died from cancer. Mama got cancer. Daddy got cancer. Got friends got cancer. Cancer's terrible. And I really just don't get it. They came up with this jab to get rid of COVID. They came up with this jab in 2 weeks. But you've been studying cancer for decades and all putting billions of dollars into it, and you can't fix that. I just don't get it. But anyway, so her parents were hit with cancer, and I'm not saying I forgive or can forget what this woman did. I'm not saying she shouldn't be punished. I'm not saying there shouldn't be consequences. But I'm sorry. When she said that, I said, uh-oh, there's a trigger. Expensive treatments that are overseas, and a lot of people would do anything to keep their father alive. I'm not going to sit here and say that makes her necessarily an automatically evil person under all circumstances. I'm not saying that she's a good person. I don't know this lady, but I know good people who would do bad things to protect people that they love. And I don't think that that makes a person unethical necessarily, but I'm not excusing her behavior at all, at all, at all. So here's what she says. She said she's very detailed in her confession, I guess, so she can get a lighter prison sentence. I really like that because it allows us to dissect how she did the embezzlement as well as understand what went wrong here. Because there are a lot of issues with this company that makes them liable, in my view, for what happened here. And I'm curious to see if Bolt is going to be able to get some of his money this way. So she says her father had cancer. She had to go overseas for treatment, and he was not employed at the time. It was at this point I thought of borrowing from my clients' accounts to cover my father's expenses. I had no idea. She said borrow, right? She said borrow, not steal. Borrow. I had no idea I would pay how I would pay it back, but that was my solution at the time. Approximately 3 years after, he passed away, and I also had to assist with the funeral expenses. So her father dies 3 years later. She's paying for the funeral. She says, I also borrowed from the client accounts to cover the funeral expenses. My brother also attempted to kill my mother. So this is trauma. You guys know we have the first ever Black financial therapy department in the Black Business School. We talk about things like trauma and money. So she's dealing with a lot of trauma right now. So in addition to her father dying of cancer, her brother tried to murder her mother. That's crazy, right? So she says here, my brother attempted to kill my mother and was committed to a home, and I cover his expenses. So I don't know why you would, but whatever. My financial burden increased during the pandemic, and income from SSL decreased. So her income went down during the pandemic. She had all these expenses. She was part of, from a financial standpoint, sounds like she was part of what they call the sandwich generation. The sandwich generation right now is the Gen Xers, who many of whom have parents that are aging, and they also have children they must take care of. So there's a lot of economic pressure that comes with that. So ultimately, the best solution to that, I was talking to my daughter about that tonight. My daughter's 32, I'm sorry. And we were talking, she was talking about like, I want to make plans for when my parents get older. When you get older, I want to make sure you're good. And I said, that's good. That's smart that you're planning ahead, because a lot of people don't plan and then they get hit by life and then they're not ready. So I don't know if she planned or not, but this is interesting. I was unable to repay the funds and continue to take funds for various purposes. So once she got into the money, the thing is, remember I told you guys earlier, money is a drug. So once you see how easy it is to take that money, I wouldn't be surprised if she said, hey, I pulled it off. It worked. It's kind of exciting. And also it's an easy way to make cash. I wouldn't be surprised if she just kept doubling down and kept doing more of it, even when she didn't need the money. So in this confession, Jean-Ann Panton is the lady who stole from Stocks and Securities Limited, the company where Usain Bolt lost his life savings. A lot of people think that she took his money too. She says, I use various mechanisms to take money from clients. For example, I would edit a customer's email in an email thread, and this email would provide consent to sell their shares and disperse the payments to the respective bearer. I would make a request to the asset management team for approval of the sale. So she would change the client's email, make it appear that the payments should go to the respective bearer. She would then make a request to the asset management team for approval of the sale. The accounting team would then approve and make the payment. So the accounting team makes the payment. Once the shares are sold, I would request a check for the funds to be paid to one of four bearers. So she would get her friends that were bearers. She said the names of the bearers are Delano Cook, Wesley Williams, Norman Taylor, and Tanya Thelwell. These bearers were independent of Stocks and Securities Unlimited. The bearers would be issued the checks by SSL and would visit the bank to collect the funds. The funds would be delivered to me. So it sounds to me like one part of her scheme was to alter the emails of her clients that were going to the asset management team to request a sale. They would sell the stock, send the money. She would tell them, sell the stock and give the money to this person. That person, her buddy, would show up at the bank, get the money, and then give the money back to her. Now, let me just start here. These are terrible checks and balances in their system. Terrible checks and balances in their system. So this company is just as liable, in my view, as the lady who stole the damn money. I'm not saying that she's innocent. She's definitely guilty. Definitely guilty. But they left the door wide open, and the thief walked in and got paid. That's what happened here, in my view. They shouldn't have a system. You can't put your money in, Merrill Lynch and have that happen. That would be very hard to pull off at a Merrill Lynch. That would be very hard to pull off at a Fidelity. So right there, that tells me that this company did not have adequate checks and balances. And this is my warning to you. I told you guys earlier that you should never put all your money in one account anyway. If you have a lot of money, I would not put all my money in one place ever. I do not put all my money in one brokerage. I do not put my money in all in one asset class. I do not put all my money in one stock. I do not ever put my money in one place where one bad thing can destroy 30 years, 20, 30 years of hard work. I spread my money out like it's a salt shaker and I'm throwing salt all over the room. I'd spread it out. It'd take a long time to figure out exactly where all my money's at. So I got to make sure I tell my wife in case I die or something, so she'll know where to go get it. You don't put all your money in one place. So Bolt, the first mistake he made, assuming this is his life savings, is I would ask him, I'd say, why would you put all of your wealth in one location? Because at that point, your money is only as secure as this company is, and this company is not very secure. And this is what's interesting. Remember I told you guys about the 4 steps of wealth. And if you want me to, I can repeat those 4 steps of building wealth. And the 4th step of building wealth is protecting what you have. And Bolt, I remember watching Usain Bolt as a sprinter. He was a very laid back guy. Usain Bolt was not intense. He ran against a guy named Tyson Gay. Some of y'all might remember, if you watched any track and field, you might know Tyson Gay's name. I was a former track coach. I was captain of my track team. I'm a big track and field fan. I know all their names, all their best times. I followed it all. I loved it. It's amazing. Well, Tyson Gay was real intense. Gay was like, he'd line up at the line and he'd be like pumping himself up. Because you have to. You're trying to run against the fastest men in the world. Bolt, if you remember, Usain Bolt would be like, they call his name, they say Usain Bolt, and he'd be like dancing and just kind of laughing it off and everything. And part of it was because Bolt was just a cool guy, but the other part of it was because he had so much talent, he didn't have to really be that intense. So he was known as this fun, lovable dude. And then he'd just go destroy all the competition. And then he'd get done and he'd do his little Bolt stance, right? He'd brand himself with that Bolt stance because he has a great name for a sprinter. Bolt. I mean, it's an amazing name. I wonder if it was his birth name. I assume it is. But the thing is, I wonder if that lackadaisical personality was also present in terms of how he managed his money. That's my question. I would wonder if that lack of intensity, also, because when he was a sprinter, when he broke the world record for the first time, a lot of people got on him. If you remember the first time he broke the world record, I think it was like maybe 2008, he ran an amazing time. And he got 20 yards before the finish line and he starts thumping his chest and pumping his fist and all that. And these other guys, fastest men on earth, are like 10 meters behind him, like stretching and straining. Bolt is out there just laughing and just kind of thumping his chest and kind of celebrating 20 yards before the finish line. And people say, why would you do that? Look at how much time you wasted. You're not being efficient in your sprinting. You could have run much faster if you weren't clowning, right? So I think about that when I think about Bolt losing all of his wealth. That just like he was slipping a little bit on the track, I wonder if he was slipping a little bit on his finances and not watching his money properly. Give me a yes or no in the chat if you understand why I'm making this connection. That this might relate to his financial personality. I wonder if his financial personality is one where he just said, okay, you know what, man, just take my money, man. It's going to be fine, man. It'll be all right. And it's like, dude, bro, you got $12.7 million. You got to be real careful with that. You got to have presidential level security with that, because I can promise y'all, anybody in here, how many of y'all gonna be rich one day? How many of y'all plan to be rich? All my future millionaires, raise your hand. Tell me if you or your children are gonna be millionaires. Raise your hand. Let's be intentional for a minute. How many future millionaires we got in the building? I want to talk to y'all. Okay, give me a yes in the chat if you're a future millionaire. Well, if you're a future millionaire, I want you to understand something. Diddy told you this 25 years ago. Remember when Diddy and Biggie said, more money, more what? More money, more what? More money, more problems, right? So money may not be the root of all evil, but money is definitely the root of all problems, or the root of most problems. and if you're not focused on how to solve those problems and how to protect your wealth, then guess what? You're going to lose it. Because wealthy people are targets. You are a target of every person with a sob story. You're a target of every scammer. You're a target of every person with a bad business idea that they want you to invest in. A lot of athletes go broke because they invest in their cousin's liquor store and put their life savings into it, and then their cousin runs off with the money. You're a target of every gold digger within a 100-mile radius. That's why you have women that literally will study athletes and study their contracts, and they'll know that an athlete got a 5-year, $200 million deal, and that $122 million of it was guaranteed. And they also know what he likes to drink, what he likes to talk about. He likes girls with big booties, and he also likes to dance. So they will show up prepared to literally sucker you you in and get you to do things so that they can put you in a position where you are vulnerable and they can then extort you for your wealth. This is real stuff, true story. I had a lady that called me and explained that whole game to me one time, and I was utterly fascinated because she said that there were legions of these strippers that would literally search out athletes. They knew which athletes were stupid, and they would go and put them in a position where they would take their money and blackmail them. There's a lady named what's that lady's name? She was the lady that took the bath. I forgot her name, but anyway, she's a real pretty girl, looks real sweet and innocent. She had a basketball player at the University of Kentucky that was her boyfriend. She was 27 years old. She pretended to be 22. She pretended to be a college student. She got him to get her pregnant. Then she had his baby, and then she took all of his money. And now he was on the internet mad because he figured out that she was scamming him all the time. She had a video on the internet where she said, if you ever want to get paid, if you ever want to get rich, get with an athlete. She said they're stupid. They're not alert. They don't wear condoms. And you get pregnant by an athlete, you'll get paid for the rest of your life. That's Brittany Renner. That's her name. Anybody ever seen Brittany Renner? So ultimately, when you get money, you're going to run into problems. Money may not be the root of all problems, but money's definitely the root of, money is the root of most problems, but it's definitely also the root of, I'm losing my words now. I apologize, guys. Money is the root of most evil, but it's also the root of most problems. That's what I wanted to say. That's what I was trying to say. So anyway, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe if you haven't done it yet. And also, I want to mention to you guys, if you want to teach wealth to your kids, we developed these really great financial flashcards for kids and workbooks as well. So feel free to go to financialflashcards.com. We have flashcards on real estate, on credit, on entrepreneurship, as well as investing. So feel free to go take a look. The URLs on the screen. Okay, so let's read a little bit more of the confession. This is the confession from the lady, Jean-Ann Panton, who many believe was the person who stole the money from Usain Bolt. So Jean-Ann Panton did this confession where she also says here in the confession, she says that she talked about editing customers' emails. She also said there were circumstances where clients would legitimately make requests for funds, and I would put through a request to the accounting team for a larger sum than that which was requested. When the funds were delivered to me by the bearer, I would keep the difference. So she would have, a company or a person would say, I want to sell $10,000 worth of stock. She would reach to the accounting team and request $12,000 or whatever. And then she would have that money delivered to the bearer, which is one of her 4 friends. And that bearer would come back and give the money to her. And she would then take that money off the top and then give the client their $10,000 and keep $2,000 for herself. Again, just terrible, terrible checks and balances. This is just despicable, man, in terms of the fact that she was able to get away with this. She says also, in other cases, I would create an email request from the client that was not actually written by the client. So she was forging emails. So that's interesting. Next, she says, some of the clients I took money from would request their funds or a portion thereof, and I would take money from other clients' accounts in order to repay those clients. So after she took your money, if you came and asked for money that wasn't there, she would go to another client's account and take their money. And so I'm gonna tell you, I'm astonished that this is allowed. You know, if you talk about, I don't know, this is almost worse than the Sam Bankman-Fried thing. I literally have zero faith in the brokerage industry in Jamaica right now. If this is in any way indicative of the type of regulations they have in place. Again, not to say you can't get robbed in the United States. Remember, there's a whole documentary about Bernie Madoff literally pulling a scam on to the tune of $46 billion or something like that, or maybe $64 billion. And it was completely under the nose of the SEC. So don't think that Americans have it right or that white people have it perfect. But this is a big problem. The fact that she was able to pull this scam and that there was nobody that came through. Where was the auditors? There should be auditors going through there. What about, Jimmy's right. She had too much power. There were no checks and balances. So this woman was able to go in and take everybody's money. A lot of people think she's the one who took Usain Bolt's money. I think it was too. She also says, I created false statements to provide the clients reflecting what they should have in their accounts and not the sum they actually had in their accounts. Account statements were only created upon request. I was able to do this over the course of several years because the accounting system changed. And even after the system was changed, many of my clients would interact only with me and my bearers. So that's another problem, right? You know, that sort of trusting and never moving people out. will cause you big problems when it comes to money. I can tell you, if you ever want to, I had a buddy that had was curious about his financial situation. His accounting didn't seem to add up, and I said, here's what you do: send your accountant on vacation, and then let somebody else come in and go through those books. And just force that to happen. Force them to pass the stuff on to somebody else, and let somebody else go through their work. And that is when he uncovered that his accountant was absolute garbage. His accountant wasn't doing anything right, but because there were no checks and balances, a lot of money was kind of disappearing and bad things were happening. So this is just a bad system. So what this lady did was she kind of leaned on this interesting idea where you can tell somebody how much money's there, like, because if it's a fantasy, if it's all fake, then who cares what's real and what's not real, right? At that point, right? So basically, you say, hey, I have $10 million with you, right? And she's like, yeah, you got $10 million, but it's really not 10 million, right? Bernie Madoff did that. Bernie Madoff literally made people think he was sitting on $64 billion. He made people think he has 64 billion that was stashed somewhere. He didn't even have 1 billion. It was weird. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out, what did he do with all that money? A lot of people thought, well, okay, of course he's got that money stashed away. Maybe he's got 10 or 12 billion somewhere. His Ponzi scheme was so bad that the amount of money he paid out in the interest payments and everything else in the rate ROI for the investors was so great that it ate away at the entire $64 billion, because Bernie Madoff told all these people he was investing their money, and he wasn't investing in anything. He was just getting new clients to have them come in and put their money up. So ultimately, when you're talking about some of these banks, like right now, Bank of America is having a big problem. I don't know if that's a scandal or not. I got to look into it. I got to research that. But ultimately, a lot of banking in general is risky. And what I would highly suggest is to consider putting your money in different places, so that if one place goes bad, then other places are, you're not going to lose everything. And this is where Usain, I think, might have made a horrible mistake. So anyway, so moving on, she actually shows these accounts of who she took money from and stuff like that. And let's see here. She says also, I estimate that I took approximately 20% of the total sum in the table. So she claims she took 864,000. I strongly believe that it was probably more than that, especially given that Usain Bolt lost his money. So either she took more than what she's claiming, and maybe she's doing that for legal reasons. Maybe bigger crimes lead to longer prison sentences, or they've got other people on the team doing the same thing. They've got other rats inside the building, and other people that are stealing inside the company, because that's the only explanation that you can come up with. If she says she took 800,000, but Bolt is missing 12.7 million, there's got to be somebody else stealing, or she stole more than what she said. One of the two. I think that they probably have somebody else in the company that is taking money too. This sounds to me like something that was happening company wide. And so, because their checks and balances were terrible. So she says, so she mentions, for Norman Taylor, he's one of my bearers who assists me with work-related matters. I added a figure to his request for withdrawal and took the additional sum. Marie Clemenson has a standing order to receive funds monthly. She withdrew some of her funds, and I took the balance on several occasions. So she withdrew some of her funds, and she took the balance on several occasions. I paid her a certain amount of money per month out of my own funds. So she took her money and is paying her out of her own pocket, which is very weird. So she's literally mentioning name by name, and this is fascinating. If you look up Jean-Ann Panton confession, you can sort of read through this. Delano Cook is my personal bearer that I would use for work-related deliveries. I took $35,000 from his account without his consent by selling shares that he had and taking the proceeds. For Maxine Welsh, John Howard, and Janet Howard, I made several withdrawals from their respective accounts without their consent or on or about 2012. I mean, think about this. She's taking money out of people's accounts. Banks aren't supposed to let you do that. They don't let their employees take money out of customers' accounts. Jean Ford manages two accounts, one for herself and another on behalf of her deceased brother, Henry Ford. I added sums to her request for withdrawals without her consent and took the additional funds over time. Since around 2012, on or about the 23rd of December, she asked me to arrange Christmas gifts from overseas out of sums she believed were in her investment account. I delivered several envelopes to SSL with instructions for them to be given to the persons Jean Ford requested. The envelopes had cash, the cash from my personal account, not from Jean Ford's. So she was borrowing money from people And then when they requested their money, she would try to cover up. She would try to put the money back before they noticed it was gone. This is bad. This lady's gonna get some serious jail time, I expect. And especially given the magnitude of what happened with Usain Bolt and the international attention and the integrity impact that this is having on the reputation of the entire Jamaican banking system. A lot of people are not going to bank in that country because they're going to read this story and think that all of your banks are full of crooks. So I would be willing to bet you that they are going to body slam this lady publicly so that they can make a point to say she was just one bad apple, when I think it's actually not one bad apple, it's a bad system. It is a bad system. It is a system that allowed this lady to come in and just do stuff that doesn't make any sense. I'm sitting there asking, where are the checks and balances? I don't know of a single bank anywhere where you could just go in there and withdraw money out of customers' accounts without people knowing. So maybe it was a mom and pop operation or something like that. FTX kind of had that, where you had the CEO able to just dip his hand in the bank account and take out client funds, whenever. And that's what Sam Bankman-Fried did, and he's going to get in a lot of trouble for that. So ultimately, what I would say, if you want to prevent this kind of thing from happening, number one, don't put all your money in one place. That's just a simple rule. Number two, you may want to liquidate your account periodically, liquidate substantial sums. So if you have 100,000 in the account, maybe one day you just take out 50 and move it somewhere else. Right. If they, supposedly have your money, then you can check to make sure your money's there, because putting a number on a piece of paper is easy. Anybody can do that. Bernie Madoff did that for years. He would put numbers on a piece of paper and ship them out to people, and people would read their statements and they'd say, look, I'm worth, $2.5 million because I have all this money with Bernie Madoff's firm. And the problem is that that's not real. That's a number on a piece of paper. And so this is a type of risk that's interesting. There's risk when you talk about risk in investing. There's the risk that there's the knowns, the unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. So the known risk might be risk that that the stock market might go up and down. That those things affect you and whatever. The unknown risk is you don't know exactly when it's going to go up or when it's going to go down, right? The unknown unknowns is that you may not know that the CEO of FTX is secretly going in and taking customer funds and putting the money elsewhere. So with risk management, which is something I studied extensively in my doctoral program under a guy named Renee Stoltz, who's one of the best risk management experts in the world, is I learned that generally speaking, no matter what your situation is, you always have to think about, like, okay, what could go wrong here? Where am I vulnerable here? And if you're not thinking that way, you're going to be in big trouble. I see people do this all the time with investing. They totally screw this up. They'll see something that's doing really well. They'll have 5 investments. One of them is doing well. So they'll pour all their money into the one thing that's doing well. And they don't understand how risky that is. You never, ever, ever put all your money on one horse, or unless you want to go broke, unless you want to struggle. So when I read those stories about people, getting their whole paycheck in crypto, I remember thinking, why would you do that? Why would you get your whole paycheck in crypto? That is the craziest, dumbest thing you could ever do, because if crypto goes south, you are done. You are fried. You are beast mode destroyed. So ultimately, there are lessons you can learn from this. I'd love, guys like Usain Bolt, if they ever called me or something, I'd be happy to give them my 2 cents, for free. I don't need any money from them or anything. But I really think that these celebrities, it's kind of unfortunate that a lot of them don't have the financial literacy to protect themselves, and these bad things happen. So anyway, guys, I'm going to get on out of here. Do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, share, subscribe. My new book is called The 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It is written for those who want to have financially strong families and financially strong groups, investment groups, things like that. I basically teach you how to be gang affiliated. A lot of economic power. Economics is a game of power, and this is something that needs to be taught. A lot of people are mad right now because they're not teaching African American studies in public schools in Florida. I don't give a damn. You should be teaching yourself what African American studies means. If you have an iPhone in your pocket, you can educate yourself. So stop waiting for people to teach your kids how to be Black. They're going to do it wrong anyway. That's why most of your kids don't even know who Marcus Garvey is, because white folks ain't going to teach your kid about Marcus Garvey. It's up to you to teach your child about Marcus Garvey. So if your child gets to the age of 18 and they never heard of Marcus Garvey, that's not the teacher's fault. It's not white people's fault. That is your fault, because all it would take is for you to sit down and talk to your child for 5 seconds and Google who was Marcus Garvey and learn about this great and extraordinary man. So little things like that are what I love to talk about. That's the book. It's on Amazon, 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power, or you can go to boycewatkins.com and get a copy. Second of of all, if you want to get any of our financial flashcards for kids or anything like that, or our financial workbooks, feel free to go to financialworkbooks.com. We develop workbooks specifically for Black children to build Black wealth. So I hope you guys will take a look. I know I mentioned this stuff a lot, but this is how we keep things going with the Black Business School, because we're not playing. We're dead serious. That's why I'm sitting here talking to you at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I don't care what time it is. I don't care what's going on outside. I don't care what anybody has to say. I'm going to keep going until my last days on this earth, because this is what I believe and this is what we're going to do, because we will win. Black people are designed to win, and I'm tired of us sitting around believing that we're supposed to be losers and running up behind white folks. I don't do that. That's not of interest. That's not how we're built. So God bless you. Hit the thumbs up button before you go. I will see you guys soon. Take care. Have a good night. Love you much. Peace.